Hey, everybody. It's Thursday. It's July 7th, 2022. I've been getting a couple questions and text messages, and all this starts happening, and it's funny. So everyone's like, Ken, you stop sending emails. Are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything all right? I haven't got an email from you. And I was like, actually, you got a bunch of emails from me. You may or may not have actually received them because my email gets categorized as junk a lot because I defy all logic of email providers. And basically, I'm sending stuff that generally people want, but it looks like I'm sending spam. So anyway, point is you may or may not have got the emails where I was like, hey, guess what? Everything is in the Google Sheet now. Like this is the Google Sheet. Like I sent you a link. I added you. I have a bunch of people in here. You've paid me, or at some point you've paid me, and I feel like you deserve this and you have this. And so this is what you access now. The reason why I'm not sending emails anymore, one is because my email is becoming a mess. Like I just said, like stuff's going to junk that needs to go to people, as well as the fact that the Excel file, which is I think what you want. I understand you want the Excel file so you can run all the simulations and do everything. That was part of the email that I used to send, right? Well, the Excel file is an ongoing. I was thinking about trying to come up with an analogy for this today, and I was like, it's like your dog. I was like, you got to treat the algorithm the same way you would treat your dog if you want your dog to behave and be good, which is you have to service it a couple times a day to eat and go to the bathroom, right? And do what it needs to do. Or it's going to go haywire and start chewing through all your toilet paper and drinking out of your toilet bowl. And so you need to update the algorithm every day, right? Well, some people choose to train their dogs and have them manicured, like, beautiful haircuts of poodles and things like that, and put them in shows. And those dogs become really, really, really important and get a lot of attention. I used to work for a woman, actually, but I used to work for a former football player who ended up being a CEO of a marketing company up in Vermont. They had like 100 acres on the lake in Vermont. They had a bunch of pointer dogs that they had. And I actually picked up the poop and cleaned the cages of the dogs as a part-time job. One of the millions of jobs I've had in my life. And the point is the point of all that is you have to keep an eye on your algorithm and treat it like a dog. Well, sometimes you have other things you want to do and you can't service the dog like you should. And I would like to do this all the time, every day for everyone to make it as good as possible. But of course, there's other things to do in life. So I want to prepare stuff in the Excel file, but sometimes it's not going to be correct. And I have to do a check over before I do a rendering in the Google Sheet. And also in the Google Sheet, you have additions like lineup confirmations and wind and weather and stuff, which contributes to an alternate projected I-score, which has shown value, at least just anecdotally. I haven't run any stats on that, but just anecdotally, it's done some pretty good things. When just it does, this stuff matters. If somebody pointed this out to me, and I didn't want to do wind and weather for a while, and then I was like, you know what? Gosh darn it, you're right. And we have to add it, and it does help. So, all right, backing up for a second. So why did I do this video talking about treating this thing like a dog? I can't send an email every day because really what you would need for it to be right is for me to send an email every time I make a substantive change. Every time a picture change that happens, that matters, happens. Every time I should be sending emails. And also it's like, who's on that email list? Some people have paid, some people haven't, some people don't want to get the email anymore, although nobody ever says that. But I assume you wouldn't want to get the email anymore sometimes because you don't want to bet anymore. People go through stages with wagering, and it can be emotional. I understand all that. So I have to not email everybody all the time. There's other things to do in life, but I can totally get the most accurate rendering up, the most accurate projections with the most accurate stuff we have when I had the minute to update the Excel file and then paste it here. That's what I was doing today. It yielded a 7-7 day, whatever. It wasn't a great day, but some things won. Houston, big favorites lost, like Milwaukee and Houston. So So, all right. So the point of all that is that this is the place to go. The Google Sheet is the place to go. You have access. You will be able to see what's going on. And instead of me potentially sending out an email tonight with tomorrow, watch how quick it is for us to prepare tomorrow. I've already started and duplicated a sheet. So yes, I have the Excel file, which you don't have, right? But the games are over for the previous day. So if you, when you purchase a subscription to this, the $30 for 30 days, you get a copy of the Excel file to start with. And you could essentially use that as a basis for updating this thing any given day. And even if you miss a bunch of historical games, it's not going to matter all that much because it only affects one factor called streaks, which isn't important anyway. So you can always update this thing. And I'm showing you right now kind of how you do that. You start by connecting a new day in your results tab into your matchup sheet. So I just did equal sign that first cell, and then you pull that formula over, you pull that thing down, and you're going to start to link in all the games for the next day. Now, we don't have the games for the next day because we have the odds for the previous day, which was Wednesday, but now we're into Thursday. So to get Thursday in here, I already went to RotoWire and grabbed the file in advance of this video. You copy it and you just paste it here. All right. And I think if you paste it as text, you get the time right. Yeah, it's weird. If you paste it as the second one there, which is match destination formatting, you get proper time, and that's nice. So that can be helpful when you're typing it. So we've got 13 games, it looks like tomorrow, one less than today. And we don't have any scores yet for today. And they're color coded from yesterday. Get rid of that. All righty. And so now we have no lineup factors. The reason why we have no lineup factors is because we don't have lineups in here yet. But as I always say, thank you, RotoWire, for being awesome and having lineups for tomorrow, which is Thursday the 7th, which is actually today on the East Coast. Paste that right here. And don't need this anymore. Now that we've done that, we refresh this pivot table right off to the right. And we'll see if any pitchers have abbreviated names. Matthew Liberatore, I believe his name is. We'll find out if that's right in a second. And that's everybody. Lineups look okay. You now refresh what's called the batting order pivot. That looks good. Matchups look good. Lineup factors are all complete. And now, just like that, it's weird. Just like that, you have a rendering of tomorrow or today, Thursday the 7th. Shocker, Houston minus 330 after they blew a game today. Well, now that we have this, and there are no lines on a couple of these games, but we can still, for those of you who subscribe to the Google Sheet and want to get a head start on tomorrow, well, this is how easy it is to get this in here, even though it's all expected lineups, and I wouldn't use it for betting yet because you want to wait till stuff is confirmed. It's just better. It's all fun. Pick rank, we don't do, we do team. So the pick rank you're leaving, you're not copying over if you're doing this at home. You're just going with team because pick rank is actually a formula now that's based on the MXP factor, which is being calculated in the Google Sheet. So this is why I'm migrating everyone to Google Sheets is we're going to have everything in here. I'm going to have a round robin calculator in here. Like the Google Sheet's going to be the bomb. So there's no need for the Excel also, even though really sharing of the Excel is the issue I have because it's basically the forming document for what everybody wants, which is the pivot. Now watch this. Now we're going to do the pivot. 7. We have one less game, so this is going to be AF28. And voila. Voila. You have a look for tomorrow. And and the odds makers are clearly doing the same thing. I mean, geez, wow. I mean, you could just be like, oh, I bet you Seattle will be minus 160 tomorrow or something, or 175 right in the middle. I mean, unbelievable. Not a single underdog on here. Unbelievable. And almost everything out of order except San Diego is higher up. So the best value at overnight here is somehow San Diego with a MXP factor of 38. And why is that? We haven't even done wind and weather yet. I just want to see why that is. San Francisco just comes back and beats Arizona last night. Way to go, Professor, who had that. Musgrove's really good, but so is Logan Webb. But they're home, and their bullpen is better, and their lineup factor projected is better. So minus 130 is actually pretty reasonable. So I understand why that value is there. So the value pick overnight is the Padres, because everything else is a disaster zone. I mean, what on earth? Technically, I predicted this. All right. So I predicted that when the algorithm gets good enough that it's right a lot, everybody starts using it, and the lines move even before I publish because everyone's using the same logic. It's just logic. I give out this Excel file to everybody who buys everything, and I explain how to use it in numerous videos. So why, it works. Why wouldn't something that worked just continue to become adopted? And so you get stuff like this. That's why it says the game is 9-1. Guys, football season's coming. It's going to get fun because that algorithm is also fun. All right. Well, that's the update to why you're not getting emails from me. I hope you're not upset. Just go to the Google Sheet. If you don't have access to the Google Sheet and you think you paid and you're like, what's up? Just send me a message. I'll probably just add you because, I'm like that. So, but if you want to get in on this and start to be a part of this, I haven't seen a ton of people in here. Most is like a few, but I'm hoping that people are coming in here seeing like, oh, well, Ken put up projections for tomorrow already. Awesome. Right. Well, he stopped short because he went to bed or he's doing something else and he didn't do wind and weather. And I have a copy of my own Excel file and a pitcher changed and some lineups are confirmed, but he hasn't done it yet because it's like noon on a Thursday. So the point is you can take this and you can start to, it doesn't have margin formulas like the Excel file does, but I mean, there's nothing against me starting to program that element into the Google Sheet here as well. Meaning the Google Sheet is clearly becoming the home for stuff because of the nature of you can just click the link and see exactly what I have. The most current stuff is up there, right? That's why it's so valuable. So whenever I update this, you can just go there and see. All right. So guys, good luck tomorrow. Looks like an absolute disaster of lines. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The odds makers have Houston is number 1, LA Dodgers is number 2. The White Sox, how are the White Sox minus 245? What is going on there? I don't believe that, but don't listen to me. Hold on, what is going on there? Let's look in the Excel file. White Sox against Detroit. Detroit's playing better. Yes. Before we go, something I need to do. Okay, here's the problem. Problem is lineup factor. Lineup factor for a couple teams that hit was really, really low in the last few days. And it made me, and also they look low in general. Like they're looking better, but something's up. I want to be like, why did Detroit beat Cleveland, sweep them? Why did they hit a bunch of runs? Well, within the batters tab, where we have all the weights of how we do the hitters, basically I need to figure out why Detroit's people are, what did I just do? Detroit's players are so underweighted and they're probably not having great years. Here's what they are. I want to do descending actually. Right now, we're saying Javier Baez is basically their most productive player, barely. Miguel Cabrera es segundo, then Jonathan Schub and Willie Castro. Now, the way that we're weighting players affects how this works. And really what I want to do is I want to compare the entire league to different players. Like, are some of these players doing better and should be weighted more over here with like average and on base and slugging? How do you weight this weird? Because different players have different number of games. Do you almost want to weight something by the number of games they've played? There's a lot to do here, and it's more of a thing for professor sides and statistical analysis. Honestly, it's complicated to figure out how to weight this. The one thing I was thinking of doing was saying, like, if you just did it off the top of your head, and we're totally going to bust stuff up for a second, so something kind of interesting. So let's say that as a player, when you think of the best players, not just Detroit, but just in general, the best players, they're going to start to get color coded here. When you say, all right, well, which one of these categories is the most important? Runs, hits, doubles, triples, homers, stolen bases, caught stealing, walks, strikeouts, hit batter, average, on base, slugging. I don't know about these guys. It's kind of interesting here. What happens when you do something like OPS, largest to smallest? You get Khalil Lee, somebody who's played 2 games, to be number 1. So you can't weight that stat too much because it distorts with low games. Other than that, yeah, that you can't use that one. What about slugging? Same problem. You don't want to see a bunch of red over here when this number is on top. That means it's screwed up. On base percentage. Maybe I have to do a minimum number of games. Yeah, that's weird. Average. That also gets screwed up. Interesting. So there's a problem with low guy. I never thought about that. It's just something to think about. I'm not going to waste. I'm not going to call it waste. I'm not going to spend a ton of time doing this, but that's interesting to know that. All right, first of all. So it makes me want to not use them as much. Okay. Then true numbers of things like, what about homers? Let's see who shows up on that list. Aaron Judge, Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Schwarber, Mike Trout, Alonso, people on winning teams putting up a lot of runs. So bam, I'm going with a big number on homers. How about RBIs? Who shows up? Alonso, CJ Cron, Goldschmidt, Cleveland. Not as much on that one. Stolen bases will go 5. -5 caught stealing, walks 5. Triples 10. I don't know. So now we're just going crazy. 5. It's 89%. Maybe runs a little more. And I don't know, hits. Whatever. So let's see what happens. I remember Detroit being at 2.8. Now they're at 2.2, even lower. Huh. Changes some stuff down low a little bit, but not too much up top. It's one of those things where I can talk forever because there's really infinite number of combinations of percentages essentially to do this with. And there's a program you can write to run samples on this, but man, it's complicated. I talked about this in other videos, complicated. So I'm open to people commenting. If you stayed this long in this video, comment on what you think an interesting or appropriate distribution of these stats should be. Because I don't really know. I don't really know how to do this. I haven't played enough baseball. It's been 20, gosh, more than 20, 30. It has been 30 years since I played baseball. That's right. It's been 30 years and I just never got good enough or paid attention enough or had the patience to play baseball back then when I was a preteen almost. So I can't really figure this one out. So I can use help on this, on what this distribution should be, because it's going to affect our lineup factor, and our lineup factor affects our projected scores and affects everything. And I could smell that it wasn't working properly. We did lower the variance to 2.2 to 2.4 instead of what the Google Sheet has, which is going to show where Detroit game. Oh, it's not in Detroit. It's gonna be over here. Oh, come on, Detroit. Yeah, right here. Detroit and the White Sox. Oh gosh, undo that. We're breaking stuff. See, it's so easy to fix that. Detroit and the White Sox right here. We had a 2.8 to 3.1. So there was a 0.3 differential there, and it's only a 0.2 here. So it got a little bit better. But it's also certainly so much lower than the maximum, which is now 3.8 down here at the Dodgers, it looks like. A lot to talk about, guys. I've gone on forever, but that's the preview for Sunday with with preview for Thursday, the 7th of July, with expected lineups in here. And I'll be back with I guess a recap of the day and how Professor does as well. We'll check out how Professor Sides does as well tomorrow. All right. Good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning.